A good book that does some of this recently is a book by Patrick Deneen, a Catholic academic from Notre Dame. And he wrote a book called Why Liberalism Failed. And I'm not sure that's the best. When you think of liberalism, you're probably not thinking about what he means, but here's what his point was. He says the word liberalism has the word liberty in it. And that all cultures have believed in liberty. The Greeks and the Romans and Christians have always believed, and the Jews always believed liberty was very important. Freedom was very important. But he says modern society has added something to the classic understanding of freedom. Because the classic understanding of freedom was freedom to do what you ought to do. But what modern society has done is this. In order to make you more free, they thought, modern thinkers, in order to make you more free, they have, I'll use a big word here, they have disembedded the individual from the transcendent, from nature, and from the community. What that means is, what they have said is, there is no supernatural transcendent world, and therefore you don't have to submit your reason to revelation like the Bible. Because everything has a natural explanation, everything has a scientific explanation, and therefore you do not have to bow your reason to anything. No revelation from God, see? Or secondly, when it says disembedded the individual from nature, in the past we always said, yes, you have to be free, but you also have to recognize the givenness of nature. There are certain things that are natural to us, but modern people say, what your body says doesn't matter. It's what you feel inside. And you change nature to fit your desires. You never adapt to nature, never. You make nature do what you want. So the individual is no longer under nature, no longer under supernatural, and the individual is no longer under the community. In the old days, freedom meant the freedom to serve your family, but now it means the freedom to be an individual, and you can tell your family where to get off if your family doesn't meet your needs. And that's the modern idea of freedom. And here's the critique, right? Our high theory is going to have to show this. If that is, and that's the modern idea of freedom, it's not the biblical idea of freedom. The biblical idea of freedom is very different. That modern idea of freedom leads to five disastrous results. It means all values now are relative. It means all relationships are now transactional. All values are relative. All relationships are transactional. All identities are hyper-fragile. Hyper-fragile. All supposed sources of fulfillment are disappointing. And in the end, we're still not free. Now, to work through those five things would be you're beginning to do a high Christian theory. You're beginning to show that exactly what Augustine said, and that is that the modern understanding of reality doesn't fit in with human nature. It doesn't fit in with what you want. It does mean all values are relative. You know what that means, don't you? How do you talk about justice when everything's relative, right?